Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego. Review those amazing bricks of plastic and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your Minifigure host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing? The post 300, the post 5-year anniversary episode. I really, truly hope you guys enjoyed it. I probably could have made it a 10-hour episode. However, we are here today to discuss the new Speed Champion sets that are coming out March 1st. Yes, I got my grubby little mitts on them early, and we've got to talk about them because there are 4 sets with some really, really cool cars. If you are a racing fan, you are absolutely going to love really all of these cars, especially one of them. It's like a chef's kiss, you know, it's just perfection in a car. So what do you say we go ahead and jump into it? Oh man, there is nothing to put you in the mood for talking about cars than the original Fast and the Furious. Oh my God, I love that scene. Anyway, so the first car that we've got to talk about is 76914. It is the Ferrari 812 Competizione. It has 261 pieces, a price tag of $25, 25 euros. Really, really nice car. You get the bright red Ferrari that's going on here. You get the yellow striping, which is done by a sticker. And then you also have black that is in here with brick-built pieces, believe it or not. And it's a very unique idea behind this. So let me preface this by saying, with all of these cars, if you're new to Speed Champions, I implore you to go back and listen to some of the other Speed Champions episodes and maybe dig a little bit into Speed Champions. Here's why. Speed Champions, as you heard from Chris Stamp on the 300th episode, there are so many intricate details that they do in these cars since they've gone to the wider bodies. So many more intricate details that they get with these that, you know, all of these little builds that go into making the front splitter or the rear deck or the rear exhaust ports or the rear lid or, you know, the bodywork on the side or the ground effects. There's such little unique building techniques that go into every single build that you really don't know what you're missing until you build one and you're like, oh my God, where have I been in my life? You've been missing out. That is the simple answer. You've been missing out. So the interesting thing about this car, right out of the gate, a lot of prettiness that is going on. Now, the other thing about Speed Champions is it's stickers galore. Sometimes the stickers don't line up. Sometimes it's a little bit of a mess. You just have to do your best, honestly. This one doesn't really have a livery so much. It just simply has the yellow stripe down the middle with the black lines that, are on the side of it that run parallel to it. That is fine. That is all good and dandy. And it actually is much easier to get this to align the entire way from the front hood, the whole way to the back of the rear deck. Now, my favorite 2 things about this, you know what? Let me back up. So let's start from the front here. One of the interesting things that I found about the front of this is, well, your little front splitter that is supposed to be in here is this rounded 2x4 tile. It's rounded on the ends, has a sticker on it. But the interesting thing is, like, the engine bay is empty. There are no engines in these, by the way. But the engine bay is very empty when you build it. And you're just kind of using this little hinge that's going on here. And it just simply sits on some modified tiles here, or not tiles, the jumpers. It's a 1x3 jumper that turns into two open studs. So you build this little hood that goes on here, and it's on this little tilt. So when you attach it, if you attach it like you normally would something, it kind of sticks out. It doesn't really look great, but it gives you that gradual rake towards the front that gives you that nice smooth angle rolling down, because the fender pieces on the sides obviously do it. And then where the lights are for the headlights and stuff, the headlight assembly, because that is a sloped piece. It's a beautifully done piece, and it's not a sticker. It's actually print. However, it's little details like that be able to, accomplish this. So you get the front splitter, you have the ground effects on the sides here. They use some little slopes. And those are stickers, by the way. Unfortunately, the wheels for every single one of these cars, but one, have the spokes. It's not the 6-spoke. I think it's like 9 or something like that. But you have those on these wheels, and they're the solid wheels. They're already molded. The tire comes attached to the actual rim, which is phenomenal. I mean, who doesn't love like that? Because it gives you the low profile tires. It's perfect. Anyway, so as you wrap around the side here, you have the Ferrari logo on both sides, just in front of the mirrors that are on your side. Mirrors are made up pretty simple. They use a quarter tile that is on there. Nothing super amazing, awesome, just kind of simple. But as you move towards the rear, towards the cockpit of this assembly, the thing that I found fascinating, and I've never seen this done in a Speed Champions car before, they use 2x2 modified plates that have the studs on the side, right? It's that 90-degree angle, the studs on the side. There's 2, 2, and 2, and then you have the 1 by 1. Perfect. It's just perfect. But they are facing down towards the ground. It gives you a whole different feel. Now, those are your ground effects and stuff like that. I've ran this thing around. Obviously, if you're going to run it in dirt or put it in that kind of setting, that's not where it belongs. So it's absolutely going to catch, and it's going to look weird and may not do exactly what you want it to. However, I thought that was a fascinating design that goes there, and it's all connected by just a long tile. That's it. It's just, I say that's it. It's just a long 1x6 red tile to be able to connect those. So moving further towards the rear, you've got the rear wheels, you've got your wheel hub assembly here. On the back, what would be the back window, essentially, you have some slope pieces that are back here, all stickers. You have your yellow sticker going down the back of this. You have your vents that are sticking out the back here that are sticker pieces, but they have the little black venting print that is going on there. So that's fine. That's not a big deal. But another unique way of getting this kind of specific body angle. So the rear deck lid, because it's a semi-spoiler, and I've never seen one of these before. However, the rear spoiler part of this is fantastic because the build actually goes into, it goes in on an angle and connects into the back of the car, deeper into the car. You build it, flush, it's straight, it's normal. And then you put it in at an angle and you get this gorgeous build that is going on. Anyway, so that is everything else. If you're looking at everything else is very flat, straight across that horizontal design. If you think about it like that, this is at like a 45-degree angle, puncturing into the rear end of the car, like into the body of the car. It's phenomenal. So just around that area, you have the Ferrari logoing, not logoing, but the word Ferrari on that yellow sticker. And then just underneath the rear deck lid, you have the prancing horse, which is phenomenal. Now you do have the 1x1 trans red tiles that are supposed to be the rear lights. There are 4 of them, and they have printed black circles on them for the lights. That's, of course, always a good thing. And then you also have these little blocks, these 1x1 bricks that have some black printing on the one side with some gray in between. There's 3 little slots of gray, and those are supposed to be, I guess some kind of light or something like that. And then there's stickers on the side of those. But my second favorite thing, I shouldn't say my second favorite, one of my other favorite things about this is the rear exhaust. Now you have your diffuser that is in the rear, which is phenomenal in the way that they have done this. They've kind of used you've seen these kind of as scoop pieces, not scoops, but kind of like front ends of if you think like Lego city cars or something like that sometimes, to get like a wing idea that is going on in the front. That's what's going on here in black. But the interesting thing about this, and it blew my mind when I saw these in the package. When you get, stud shooters and stuff like that, you're like, oh, stud shooter, you get that. You get the little lever that allows you to, shoot it with your finger or whatever. When I saw those, when I opened the bag, I was like, what are we even looking at? Incredible. Because those are attached and they become the dual exhaust ports that, come out an angle in the rear. Like the fact that Chris and his team really went and were like, what kind of Lego weapon can we use to get an exhaust system? That's a whole nother level of genius. And I'm not saying other teams don't do that. It's just on a different level. So I really appreciated that. Now, down on the inside of this thing, one of my biggest complaints, bugaboos about anything that has to do with Speed Champions, hair pieces and helmets. In this case, on this car, the hairpiece and the helmet do not allow the windshield or whatever to 100% sit flush. There's a small gap. It is minimal, but it kind of drives me nuts. Anyway, this is a left seat driving vehicle. You got another sticker down in there for his where his hands are supposed to be and stuff. Nice little gauges that are going on. No stickers or anything else other than the one that I had mentioned. And then you have your printed 1x1 tile with the prancing horses for the headrest, which is really nice as well. Your minifig for this, he comes in a black Ferrari dress top, which is kind of nice, like a little suit jacket, or not a suit jacket, like a leather jacket. And he has dark bluish gray legs. His head, fine, nothing special. Little beardage going on here. And he just has the one face. It's actually Jang Brooks's face for his minifig. And he has some little black oiled up hair that he's got going on here. Oh, come on, Jang, get back in your Ferrari. The wrench is in the way. And you also get the wrench as well. The print for the cockpit windshield is nice. It has the yellow stripe as well. And then some red going up along the elbows of the top of this thing. Really nice car. Obviously, Speed Champions price point is not ever a bad thing. It is super cheap in comparison to other things that you get. But the idea behind that is to be able to build all of these small assemblies that give you these unique looks and stuff like that. You're not talking about 2x4 bricks and stuff like that. You're not talking about chunky plastic that's going to cost a lot of money. However, super cool build. Absolutely love this thing. So let's move on to the next one here. The 76915, the Pagani Utopia. Oh my God, this car was so much fun to build. Anyway, 249 pieces, $25, 25 euros yet again. And the thing that I was blown away by was the absolute perfection of capturing the curves to this car. This car, yes, it's a supercar. Yes, it's incredibly amazing. But the way that they managed to get those curves, I don't think I've ever seen in any kind of car that Speed Champions has done in the modern era here. Just gorgeous. So this is pretty much an all dark bluish gray car. If you're not familiar with what that is, look it up, Google it. Google is your best friend in this world. However, man, it's just it's just perfect. Oh, it's so sensual in its own way. However, I guess we'll get to it here. In the front, you have another pivoted assembly for the hood, kind of like we talked about with the last one, except the unique thing about this, to be able to get that kind of texture in the very front end of the car, they actually take a clip, 1x1 plate that has, the little clip on the end, and they actually stack two of those underneath the front hood, and then that hinges down and it touches the diffuser and a diffuser on the bottom. It's absolutely gorgeous in the way that it's done. It looks so pretty. And to think that it's such a simple part is just mind blowing. Now to the left and right side of each of that, they actually use an ice skate piece here, an ice skate piece to be able to get more of that texture in the front. The giant grill opening that is going on here is really, really gorgeous in its own right. One of the most unique things I think I've seen, well, in a lot of cars, is how the very bottom part of this car in the front is built upside down. The assembly is built upside down, and then you attach it upside down. Well, I should say it's built normally, and then you flip it upside down and attach it. It's nuts. Having studs on the bottom. I mean, is that a thing? Studs on bottom? I don't think that's ever been a thing. A Sabi, whatever, something like that. However, really cool in the way that was done. I really appreciate that. You've got your wheel wells, standard wheel wells. It's not the new version that we talked about before with the flowers. You have headlights again. These are printed on each side on that sloping piece. You do have some stickers here on the hood, not a big deal. You do have some stickers just to the rear of the tires on the wheel well on some sloped pieces. The mirrors look absolutely, for mirrors, I know I'm making a big ado about nothing. The mirrors look really good in the way that they're done with the piece that they chose for that. Your cockpit, your rounded canopy that you have here has printing on it up through the elbows and such. Your minifig comes with his hair. He's wearing a Pagani race suit. Well, it looks like a race suit. I don't know that it's necessarily a race suit because this is a street legal car. Really nice. But I really love the interior of this. It does come with the gear shift handle. Obviously, you need to be able to drive this thing. Has some gauges that are on a printed slope piece here. And then the seats I really, really like. They did it in a nougat color. It actually made me feel like I was getting into a very fancy sports car that had this differentiation between colors. I really, really appreciated that. Anyway, so as you move towards the rear, if you checked out my Instagram, there are some new pieces that they are doing for the sloping of the rear end of these vehicles. This one has it, and another one that I'm going to talk about has it. They make the car perfection. Actually, there's two others. So now we have it in dark bluish gray, we have it in orange, and we have it in black for sure. Anyway, so then you have a clear piece that is back here, a trans, I guess it's not completely clear. It's that smoke color, which is really nice. Supposed to be like where the engine is. They use two roller skates in there to kind of be able to get that look and stuff that's going on. It's absolutely gorgeous. So moving down the sides, because we did kind of like the back, but we've got to talk about the entire back as a whole. So moving down the sides, really nice sloping that goes over top of the wheel well pieces that are actually the solid piece. Just nice smooth curvatures that are going on there. Rear wheels, not anything super special, just like we talked about, low profile tires. Now, here is where my mind was blown, right? So you have this assembly that you are building for the rear. So let's talk about the assembly first and then how it connects. So the rear assembly is just made up of some plates, not anything crazy, some slopes and stuff. You've got some hinged pieces here that have some vented slopes that work here with the trans red lights that they use. And there's two on each side. There is a 1x1 tile that is rounded on one side and then square on the other sides. That is printed. And then you have this 2x2 round tile in silver, and it's got a print of, I guess it's supposed to be the exhaust system or whatever. Now, this does have the ability to be clipped into place. It does have two little bars here to be able to clip this into place into the rear end of the vehicle. The incredible thing, you see doors on cars. You see doors, the car doors, the 1x3 doors, 3 studs long. You usually don't see them to achieve a concept in a car other than a door. I'm pretty sure I've never seen it. I've never seen it done in Speed Champions before. What they have done here. So where that 2x2 tile for the exhaust is, they have 2 doors on the top and 2 doors on the bottom. And they are gaining that angle of probably just about 45 degrees. And they slope down towards the rear taillights where I said the red ones are. So it allows you that airflow to go through, just like the original car itself, the actual model car. It is like, I built this thing and I was like, oh my God, what did I just build? This is like the coolest thing I've ever done. So then you put it in and you're like, oh yeah, you just slide it straight in. No, it connects at an angle. And it actually has there goes my hairpiece. Not my hairpiece. I don't have any hair. Anyway, but it actually has a physical stop because there is a plate that is down here for the giant wheel assembly. So it actually does stop it so it doesn't go flat. It gives you that upward look and stuff. Oh my God, it's so incredible. I love the back end of this car probably more than I should. Somebody's gonna be like, if you love it, why don't you marry it? You know what? I might just have to marry it. Anyway, it's It's absolutely gorgeous in the way that it is done. Really nice car overall. Giant fan of this one. But my minifig, he's got black legs. It is printed on the front. It's not printed on the rear. He does have the Pagani logoing on the front. Kind of, like I said, it's almost like a race suit, but I don't think it's really a race suit. Comes with a black helmet. It comes with his nougaty hairpiece that he's got going on. The nice thing with Speed Champions is you can pretty much put all of that kind of stuff into the cockpit, into the area where your guy is driving, and put the windshield back on and you're good to go. So another really nice car. The back end of this, I'm telling you right now, if you're not a Speed Champions fan, you are completely missing out. These intricate little unique builds that you're not going to see anywhere other than Speed Champions is incredible. So I implore you to go check them out, especially because it's only $25. I mean, you're going to throw money at Lego anyway. You might as well spend $25 here and there on some of these cars. Well, before we get on to any more car goodness, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. All right. So moving along, I'm about to nerd out on you. You guys know I'm a race fan. I'm a race fan of many, 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 many different series. This car is this next one we're going to talk about. 76916, the Porsche 963. This is a true to life, real race car. Raced in Daytona, 24 hours of Daytona. Going to be racing in Le Mans later this year. Going to be racing in the WEC, which is the World Endurance Championship. Going to be racing in IMSA, which is the native racing series here in the United States for supercars and stuff. This thing is gorgeous. So if you're not familiar with racing, here's what you need to know. So this thing is essentially a hybrid car. Not essentially, it is a hybrid car. Hybrids are making their way throughout all of racing. Eventually, it's going to be electric, and we'll see if some of these teams don't throw hydrogen at it. I know it's something that has been going on. So Porsche is no longer just a team. They used to be a team in the World Endurance Championship many years ago, won Le Mans a few times. Now they are partnering with Penske Racing. So Penske, Roger Penske, huge, all kinds of different racing series, right? Won so many championships, all kinds of stuff, has these incredible racing teams. The goal was for Penske to go back and race in the 24 hours of Le Mans later this year. So Porsche, Penske, they got together. This car is absolutely incredible. In real life, it is incredible. Now, they didn't get the results that they wanted. And, they were supposed to have 4 cars, not just Porsche cars, yes, but 2 of them were for Penske because it's a partnership with Porsche. And then there were 2 customer teams, but the cars, because of, back delays and all that kind of stuff, the supply chains and everything, they're still being affected. They didn't get their cars. So they will in the future. They will race them later this year without a doubt. However, let's talk about the Lego version of this. After watching the 24-hour race, which I watched probably 22 and a half hours of it straight before, I fell asleep in there for a little bit, but I was setting alarms. I was like, I got to get up. I got to stay awake. Anyway, this car is a pretty spot on resemblance. I think in some ways it looks a little bit longer than it should, but let's go ahead and jump into it. First thing that you notice straight out of the gate is Porsche's paint scheme. Red, white, black. It's been that way forever and a day. Nothing is new or different. So let's start with the front of this. You have your front end here, your splitter that is going on. Really, really nicely done. I love, and it's not anything like we're using really weird techniques or anything like that. Angled pieces, tiles that are going on here. You've got some clear pieces that are in here in the triangular version that are supposed to be your headlights. Then as you get into the center of the hood, if you will. So the main center of the hood is actually depressed in comparison to the wheel well areas. And there's actually clear spaces. In this case, it's about a tile width in between where the wheel wells are and the hood is. I'm not sure what it is on the real car. However, on the main hood, it is red. You have red and white stickers here with the logo that is on here. And then you have your wheel wells. Now your wheel wells, the same pieces that had the headlights printed on the last 2 cars we talked about, actually have stickers here because the headlights aren't on that part of the car on this car. So you have some venting that I'm pretty sure it's venting that goes back through there over the wheels, but I could be wrong. Anyway, So you have that. So what they're doing is they're sending air in between the wheel well sections and the hood, and then it pops out just next to where the driver would be getting out of the car, right? Cockpit opens, they get out. So you're shuffling air around, then into the radiators on the side. Use some triangular tiles here, binga, bada booma, all the prettiness that is going on. So then we move a little bit further. Oh, there's one thing I forgot. So when you're racing World Endurance Championship, you're racing IMSA, pretty much any endurance that has multiple categories. So there are multiple categories in IMSA. There's, I believe is it 4 or 5 now? I think it's 5. So each car has a number that's on the side, the number of the car. In this case, it's 75, but that's not the actual number of the car. They are 6 and 7 for the Penske cars. However, it is in that red color because the premier, the top series, the top classification has red, and then it's like green and blue, and I don't think it's yellow. And anyway, long story short, it has that right there. It's supposed to be LED. The sticker on this 2x2 square tile actually does look pretty good. It resembles it quite well. Anyway, moving towards the rear, we get into sticker hell here. We have, because you have red with black lines that are coming off the car. It's supposed to look like air blowing over the car. However, not anything wild and crazy as far as the build goes here. You know, you got pretty much standard fare, to be honest. But you have all these stickers. You have some slopes that are on the side. You have a lot of flat tiling that is going on here because it is a race car. Now, obviously on the real race car, it's not 100% like that. However, you can only do so much in Lego pieces. So as you get over to the rear wheel wells, that is a tongue twister. Rear wheel wells. Anyway, these are black. The ones in the front are white. You have some tiling that is over this with some slopes and some actual 2x2 flat tiles here, square tiles. A lot of stickers that are going on here, some venting. You have a piece back here down the center that has the Porsche wording on it. That is a sticker. You have your big old fat old wing on the rear end of this. And the cool thing about this is the wing is actually tiered, dual tiered. The front part of the wing sits just slightly lower than the back part of the wing, which is how it works. And then you have the Porsche sticker across the back of that. So the back end of the car is pretty much all black, but your lights are my favorite thing. So the lights that they have back here are all tiles in red, but it's just the way that they're done. Some studs on the side, some just, building straight across. That works. My new favorite piece, it is kind of, I don't know what Lego calls it. It's like a rounded 1x1 brick, but it's not 1x1. It's 2/3 tall. It's rounded on one end. It's flat and has a stud sticking out, an open stud on the opposite side of the rounded. It has a closed stud on top, and then obviously the recessed part underneath. The team has taken these on with, I want to say I use them in almost every Speed Champions, if not every single one of them so far. I'm pretty sure it's been every single one of them. However, really nice rear end here. The diffuser kit is really nicely built. Your minifig that comes with this is your driver. Obviously, it's your race driver in the Porsche Motorsport racing suit, white with some printing on there and stuff. Just a one face, happy smiley face. Nougat brown hair. And then you have your cockpit. It has Porsche across the windshield as it's curved, and then it has the red and the black, striping over the very top of that. Really nice car. Now, I don't think the building techniques on this one were as intricate as the one for the Utopia that we just talked about. However, I am still a massive, ungodly massive fan of this car, just because of what it means to me as a race fan, but also because of how the actual race car was put into Lego form. I mean, you go look at Google Images and then look at this, build this, and you're like, holy crap. they pretty much nailed it. Yes, they did. So it'll be cool. Lamar rolls around and it's like, look what I got. I'm gonna be racing along TV myself, with this car. So maybe I have to go to France one day and take my little Lego model with me and be like, look what I got, guys. I got my own. Anyway, Let's move on to the last set that we're going to talk about today. 76918. It is McLaren. Both of these cars are McLaren. McLaren Solus GT, not like soulless, like you soulless human, SOLUS. And the McLaren F1 LM, Le Mans, right? So these two cars combined give you 581 pieces. It's $35 and 45 euros. Finally, we get something right here in the United States. Our pricing is like spot on. It's actually 6 cents per piece. That's crazy. Like it's been a long time since I think I've seen anything like that. So the thing that you need to know about this is your first car that you've got up here, your GT car. This one is entirely orange. There's a very little black. The rear wing is black and the front splitter is black. Now, we get into a similar idea here with how things attach with, getting forward rake and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about the front end of the car. Oh, by the way, this is the only one that has the 5-spoke wheels. The rest of them have the same throughout. This is the only, of course it had to be difficult. Anyway, so your front splitter is black. Then you have some orange sloping that is going on here. Your assembly that you attach, and it's actually attached by 2 studs to just in front of where the driver sits. Now, the cruddy thing about this is this build, this little assembly is so sensitive to pressure and touch. When you build it and then go to attach it, I implore you to be extremely gentle and not forceful. Just a little bit at a time, because if you don't, it is going to crumble in your hands and you are going to lose your mind. Well, maybe not lose your mind, but you're not going to be the happiest person in the valley like I was when it first happened. Anyway, moving along here. So the next thing that we got to talk about is the very front end of that. You have stickers that go across the front for the vent. You have the McLaren logo that is just on top of those vents. And then you have some simple little lights that are here as well. Little stickers on top that are, they are orange back as well. So just keep, that in mind. That way, right? Because G.I. Joe told us knowing is half the battle. And I believe G.I. Joe. I believe everything that G.I. Joe told me. That's where I learned, man, come on. Anyway, so moving slightly further, you do have a glass cockpit here, of course. Why wouldn't you? But the interesting thing is just prior to that, all these little assemblies, like I had mentioned, right? Things are clipped into place and everything like that. This car actually uses 2 Technic pinned in pieces to be able to get the rake of the front end of this part of the build. I've never seen anything like that. Again, on a Speed Champions car. Yes, we've seen it on Lego sets and everything like that. Somebody's going to be like, oh, we've seen that before. That's nothing new. It's just unique for Speed Champions. It's never been done for Speed Champions before. So, in that way, it's unique, it's novel, and it's really impressive in the way that the team has really kind of taken on the idea of really stepping outside the bounds of, just standard fare, Anyway, so you have that. Those pieces are, put into place here. They look gorgeous. They look perfect. Perfection is what it is, really. So you move towards the rear end here, to the back part of that. You got your wheels, standard wheels, nothing impressive, amazing, awesome. Just your standard guys that you got going on. You do have some nice little sloping that it goes over the top of these wheel wells. These are not the same wheel wells we have seen in the other cars, slightly different, but just a little bit skimpier. You get into your cockpit. This is a 1-seat cockpit, just a 1 seat. You have your little gear shift in there. There is nothing else in there. No prints, no stickers, no nothing. Your mirrors that are on the side are pretty okay, not bad. But here's the unique thing. They use boat oar pieces at an angle that are connected to a bar that is attached to a stud, which is great. A little 1x1 modified plate with the bar on it. Perfect. You have some angled pieces that are there on the side. But my favorite thing about this is, again, we get into a Technic piece here that gets pinned into place. and you're just taking a plate and a tile and that's it. And you're given a downward angle. Gorgeous to be able to get that angle. It's just perfect. Like you really don't stop and think about this stuff until you see this stuff. So this is one of the cars. This is the one that has one of the new pieces, the orange pieces that are down the side. They are kind of angled, sloped, and then they're flat on the bottom, which is incredible in the way that is done. You have some smoke tiles that are going on back here, the trans smoked color. Stickers going down the rear end of the car, not anything wild and crazy. The back end actually comes quite boxy as you start building it. A lot of flat tiling that is going on here. The wing does have some movement into it, not a whole lot. Tiles, plates, a few studs, not much going on there, clipped into place. On the rear end of this thing, you have 2 plates. They are 1x8 plates, and they're in orange, and they have the actual printing of the venting out of the rear end of the car, 4 little black prints on each one of these. You stack them up and you've got that. You have 2 different colored lights in the rear. You have red, and then you have the orange, and then you have what is supposed to be where your license plate would be, where it says the F1 LM. Oh, I actually got it wrong. I thought this was the GT. That is my bad. The McLaren logo as well. And then you have your exhaust ports that use binoculars, believe it or not, to accomplish that. Your driver comes with, well, McLaren, right? It's got to be a McLaren driver. You got to have the person. Anyway, kind of standard face, nothing wild and crazy. Blue pants, white top. Not a fan of how that came together. Really, really not a fan of that. It is supposed to be like a hoodie for McLaren. It's got a pocket and you can see the drawstrings and stuff, McLaren logo on it. Definitely not what I wanted to see as far as that goes. I was expecting something slightly different, but as a whole, I guess I can't complain. But yeah. So let's move on to the next one here. Now that we know it's the McLaren Solus, but man, I swear it was the opposite way around. I'm pretty sure I didn't get my stickers mixed up. Anyway, you move on to this one. This is similar in build to the Porsche that we just talked about, the 963. Black, orange, white. Now, the one thing that I did notice about this car, because again, if you look at the set number of pieces, 581, some of the others, you're 300 and stuff. So you would expect a little bit more. This felt more of like a Creator 3-in-1 to a certain degree. I'm not knocking it, but it most definitely did. However, so your wheel wells are all white. Black is going down the center. You've got some orange on the diffuser in the front and orange on the top of the wing in the rear. So the diffuser is made up of some tiles and some slopes here, some angled pieces. You actually have the angles in the front above the main diffuser. Where the radiator is, they actually have some silver printing on there. You have the McLaren logo, which is a sticker down the center. And then you have this very abrupt, upward design for like the pods that are in the front of the car. Over top of the wheel wells you go. And here is where you get into the aerodynamic stuff yet again. Just behind that. So the very front end of the cockpit windshield, if you were to go about, 2-3 studs back, you get this big abrupt drop into where the air is coming through and stuff like that. It's shuffling through the car. It's cooling the engine. It's doing all kinds of different things. But my goodness, here's what impressed me. It's not the cockpit. It is how the air is coming through. They use these angled pieces. Now, one of them, yes, not a big deal. It's studs on top of studs, but it's the angled little stud that is in here, the angled little plate. It's an angled plate, but it's angled at a 45-degree angle towards the rear of the car, or not the rear, the bottom of the car. It just sells it. It's perfect. It's absolute perfection. And then you have these hinged little pieces that are on the rear, just in front of the rear wheels in white, that triangular tile. And that is, again, it's supposed to give that aggressive look. Now you can have them splayed out just a little bit, or you can have them splayed in. There's just ever so slightly, just a little bit of wiggle room here. Now your cockpit, your windshield is just printed, and I just dropped it. It's printed on the top, just in some black, a little bit of silver on the side. This though, however, is my favorite steering wheel Lego has ever done. And what they did is they took a game controller and they just stuck studs, 1x1 round studs, 2 of them, and attached it to a little kind of like not an alien arm, but a clip that can attach to a bar here. And the nice thing is you lift it up, you get your minifig in and out. And this minifig actually lays down well enough that you don't have any issues with the windshield. Pull the steering wheel down and you're good to go. So moving towards the rear, you do have this kind of texturing with the wind. I think you could call it like a wind vane going down the middle of the car, or a spoiler, or whatever you want to call it. But that's going down the middle of the car. Again, the decking towards the rear, very, very, very much so flat. Nothing really wild to write home about. The wind, it's not a windscreen. It's not a windshield. It's your rear wing, orange across the top, black on the sides. And then your lights that are in the rear that are red actually use like I don't even know what this piece is called. It's something you would put on on a weapon. You would attach it to a hilt, but really, really nice in that trans red here. And then you have, your rear diffuser with nothing wild here, but just, some pieces that they threw together here, but not heavily built up with small pieces. And then you have your McLaren sticker in the rear with an exhaust that is printed onto that sticker. Now, this car, all the other ones use that newer chassis. Again, check Instagram. They use that new chassis piece to get everything going. This one did not. This one was actually built completely different, and I really appreciated the design on the inside to be able to build this. I think it was very, very unique in its own right. So the interesting thing about this, we've had all guy drivers so far. Nope, this is a female. She comes with her brown hair, and she is wearing a McLaren racing suit, full on. She's the only one though that has 2 faces. She has a very happy face and a face like, let's get ready to go. Let's drop the hammer. Let's kick it into gear and let the clutch fly. Which I think most of them, it's a hand clutch now. However, really cool stuff. Really like that car a lot. As a whole, you already know where my favorite lies. It's in the Utopia, just because of the build. My second favorite is for my own personal reasons, because I love the Porsche and what it means to me as far as a racing fan. All of these have unique builds. All of these builds are absolutely phenomenal. You really cannot go wrong with either one of them. You really can't. The very last one that we talked about with the Solus GT, like I told you, it doesn't have that standard chassis piece. It is built completely different, and you appreciate the underside of how that one is built as well, deep in the belly of the beast. So for me, price point with Speed Champions is never an issue. I think it's always spot on. It's never one of those things where I'm like, oh my God, you expect me to pay how much? No. It's perfect. Every single time it is perfect. It's spot on. So if you are curious about these, they are coming March 1st. Make sure you get your hands on them. These kind of things, believe it or not, actually sell out very, very fast. Especially when you're talking about a Pagani, you're talking about a Ferrari. McLarens, yeah, they may sell out, but I'm assuming the first 2 will probably sell out much faster. Even the Porsche, in the way that it is done, I think gearheads that do Lego are going to really appreciate that and purchase it quite quickly. So that's going to end it for me. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting. Wet your whistle a little bit. Maybe, you add it to your list for March or, later in the year, whatever. So until we meet again, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it.